Alright, so hopefully you guys can hear me, and hopefully if you've been following along with the trading journal and all the different moves, these are all the different places that I've been looking as prices moved and whether I took trades or not. And so we're getting to this area now. We've had all these wonderful moves all throughout the market, but now we're getting to this area where things are starting to get a little shallow. And so it's like, what do I do with stuff like this? And so there's like a couple different ways you can look at this. You can just basically draw out, highs and lows of what the market's done. See what price is reacting, and just wait to see what price is doing. We've already looked in particular areas here. There were no trades here. Can't consider this. I don't consider this the low yet, although we've had this slight break here. I don't consider this the low, and you can't count this as a low until you actually get a good break. And because this wasn't a good break, that's why I don't consider this. So this area is more of the high that I'm looking to be broken. So given that, just play the market forward, let it play out, and just watch. Okay, so now we're getting a little bit better of a break. So given this break of this level here, this was the push, and then it came down, and then either one of these levels here are the ones that jolted it up this high. And so these are the levels that I'm working with. I'm working with here, and generally you'll see a reaction on the weekly before you actually have to go down to the daily to see if it's actually doing anything. So like we got a reaction here, so I might be able to go down on the daily and see if we can get a double bottom here. So I'll play it out. Is that a valid double bottom? That was. So that would be a trade that I'd be marking up. It would be after the green candle. The first bounced away, and then came back and retest, and then jumped away. Now we already know, or we can already tell, that this is immediately going to be a stop. So I'm just doing all this to adjust for my stop loss area. I'm going to go for 1 to 2. And so we already know that that's a stop out. Okay, cool. But the next area of interest would be this area right down here. So this area is no longer valid. If we were to jump out to the weekly, what I'd be looking for here is price to respect this area here as a continuation for an uptrend. This area is no longer valid. We were looking for a bounce here, but that never happened. So really, in order to look for the next buys, if this doesn't set up, is waiting for this top up here to break above it, high above it, and then come back and retest it. Very similarly, like we were waiting to a break here, leaving the area and then coming back and testing. This broke but didn't leave the area. You got this wick area, so there's price action all in here. So this is kind of stuff that you just got to look out for and adjust and play out in your mind. So the next area I'd be looking for is somewhere down here. I would clean up this area now that we are more likely to come into this area. This is where I hold the control button, and it'll snap to highs, lows, mids, things like that. And so for the way I draw zones is from the lowest point, which is technically this lowest point here, to the closest body. So that's that. If for some reason I need to clean it up a little bit, or if it needs to be a little bit shorter, then I might adjust. But these are like the rules that I have set as my first area. When I get down to the daily, really this is just a zone. I don't care so much as how clean it is. So play this out, see what happens there. Alright, we're back in this area again, and we actually have a rejection. What does that look like on the daily? Go down to the daily. Do we get a double bottom? That is the question. So once we get into this area, what would we consider? Okay, well, this would be the first bottom from same drawing as we do the zones on the outside. So it's from wick to the body. And unfortunately, there we go. Wick to body, cool. We get a bounce, it comes back, it tests the area, but it doesn't close below it. If it closes below it, this is continuation. But if it respects it, then we have a higher chance that price is going to leave from this area. So here's my entry. Once again, using the control button. Control button snaps it to different places, so you don't have to worry about being so precise. You just push and hold control while you're dragging it, and it'll snap it to locations. We need my stop loss placement. So the stop loss is from the second test, the wick to the body. Whichever body's lower, whichever wick is lower, that's what you're grabbing. Now this goes on the outside of the pattern. So here's the pattern, the double bottom. The lowest part of this pattern is this wick here. If the lowest part of the pattern was a wick way down here, well then this would go on the outside of that. So we take this, we move it down, we can eyeball, we don't have to be that precise, and then that's roughly where our stop loss is going to go. Right there. And then we shoot for 1 to 2. Doesn't matter that it's somewhat already played out, because the process would have been the same. You got to be honest with yourself. Is this a double bottom in your eyes? Would you have taken it? Yes. If it doesn't look like a double bottom you would have taken, but you see that it won, that is completely up to your, well, that's not up to you. That's you're doing yourself a disservice if you decide, yeah, I'm taking it only because it won. If you would have never taken that or looked at it as a double bottom to begin with. So that would be another one for the books. So granted, we have 1 loss and 1 win. We're up 2 risk. We lost 1 risk, so we're actually up at these 2 trades. We have a 50% win rate, and we are up 1. Whatever unit of risk you were risking, whether that was $10, $5, $100, we're up 1 of those. So we were down, let's say 50. Let's say we're risking $50 in each trade. We were down 50 here. We're up 100 here, so we made 50 bucks. And this is how the numbers game ends up playing out. Now what does that look like on the weekly? This is it on the weekly. It's not a huge move. It's not we're expecting this to go to the moon. It's just a small enough bounce to capture. And that is it.